Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to my channel, Happiness Hacks for a Post-Pandemic World, from the world of Lord Sri Krishna. Lord Sri Krishna is only a heartbeat away, only a breath away. For those of us who revere and love Him, He is never far away. And we must remember that in times like these, where uncertainty abounds, your best friend and your best mentor and your best guide would actually be Lord Krishna. So I was divinely inspired to create this channel to reach out to all of you who are seeking healing, who are seeking understanding, who are seeking a new definition of life's potential in this post-pandemic environment. So today what we will focus on is wealth, creation, retention, and the mysteries. What does really attract abundance and what really does keep abundance? And Krishna had actually given Yudishtra 5 very concrete things to do to your domestic environment, things that you need to use and keep to attract and retain financial certainty and abundance. And that will be the key takeaway of today's episode, but we will save that for last. Save the best for last. We'll start by getting Lord Krishna's perspective on wealth. Now remember, during the Kurukshetra battle, he was the master strategist, he was the economic reformer, he was the one who helped build strategic alliances for the Pandavas, and he was the one who had shown in different phases of his life that there is a very blurred line between what is sublime and what is worldly and mundane. And no other divine figure was as human as Lord Krishna was. And this we see when we visit his quotations in the Bhagavad Gita. Now, the qualities that we want to cultivate would resemble the qualities that Krishna has exhibited in his lifetime. I'm now starting with a very shocking predilection that he made. So Krishna apparently existed towards the end of the Dwarka age. The Dwarka age preceded the Dark Age, which is our age, which is known as the Kali Yuga in the Hindu calendar, and in other belief systems like in Nichiren Buddhism, they call it the latter day of the law, because they know that actually it's a fairly lawless time. What are the values that we hold sacrosanct today, other than you have to get rich, right? So I'm reading to you how Krishna predicted that this is going to be the main preoccupation of humanity at this time. In the Kali Yuga, wealth alone will be considered the sign of a man's good birth. And it will be sort of the canvas on which a person's behavior is going to be judged, and the fine qualities of that person are going to be judged. Now, I have noticed that during this pandemic, when people were not doing what they were typically doing professionally, a lot of their friends started seeing the same behaviors in a more judging light. So, for example, if 2 people were going out Dutch, and if one person who was previously in a very strong position was okay to be looked after, then the other friend would assume that this is an exploitative relationship. And that is so sad, because what makes us human is compassion. What makes us human is understanding. So, and generosity of spirit. So when Krishna said we would be judged only by the wealth we have, this is an experience I'm sure many of you out there have seen through life's ups and downs. The moment people perceive a lack of wealth, their attitude shifts. The moment people perceive wealth, their attitude shifts. We need to grow into far more mature, far more spiritual and compassionate beings, and not do this to one another. So please, let's be mindful of what Krishna had predicted and know that we do not want to remain at that level. Then, as per the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 47, Lord Sri Krishna says to his disciple Arjuna on the battlefield, "You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself the cause of the results of your activities, and never be attached. Never be attached to not doing your duty. So I think what he meant by this, if I'm not mistaken, the results or the fruits of your action have a lot more to do with your ego and less to do with whether you actually did the job well. So the beautiful way to approach your work is to think of the journey as the destination and not to get overly carried away whether things go in a certain way, you get certain outcomes or you don't. If you get your outcomes, thank you God. If you fall short, thank you God, I gave it my best shot. I think that is the basic attitude that he wanted for humanity to adopt. But he always says never shirk work. Work is worship, and he says it's even dearer to me. Hands that work are dearer to me than lips that pray. Work done with selfish motives is inferior by far to the selfless service or the karma yoga. Therefore be a karma yogi, O Arjuna. Those who seek to enjoy fruits of their work are courting potential unhappiness because no one has control over the results. Put your heart and soul in whatever you do because it is more worthwhile than chanting mantras. When you work wholeheartedly, you are indulging in creation and it touches the spirit in you and you experience spirituality. Wealth, success and fame will automatically come. You have to believe in that. Wealth, success and fame are often byproducts. And as per the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 70, the true happiness of life does not come by chasing material desires. One who is able to manage his or her desires finds peace in life, and with peace comes happiness. So very few of us are equating happiness today with peace of mind. So very many wealthy people are struggling for their lives, having bypass surgeries, having hypertension, taking blood pressure medicine. But they do not realize that that itself is a wealth that they do not have, peace of mind. As the waters of different rivers enter the great ocean, which though full on all sides remains undisturbed, likewise a person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires can alone achieve peace, and not the man who runs after and is constantly striving to satisfy such desires. So you can choose to be a well of fathomless desires, and you could be running in every direction with your five senses trying to satiate them, or you decide, no, I am the Lord and Master of my life, not my desires, not the pursuit of wealth. And that's something I find that the shift of energy the pandemic has taught us already, that do we really need so much wealth, or is it just nicer to have some time? So many people, I believe Aishwarya Rai Bachchan told Abhishek Bachchan, don't complain about the lack of work. Think of the 1 year that you've spent with your family during the lockdown. Think of the blessing that has entailed. And all of them, of course, were sick with COVID. They all had to go to hospital. But she was spiritual enough to see the beauty of time, having time together. And in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, verse 8, we read, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. Krishna is the source of everything, and everything belongs to Krishna. It is an illusion when we think, I have earned this, I own this, I have gained. The true traditions of Krishna consciousness say offer everything to the Lord. Every meal that you eat, every breath that you take, try to keep Krishna and the Krishna mantra at the center of your life and see how your world changes. It will change from uncertainty to peace. It will change from lack of abundance to immediate solutions showing you the way to abundance. The work has to be your own, but the charioteer would be Lord Krishna. And like Arjuna placed his faith in Krishna and was victorious, No matter what impediments, what emotional blocks Arjuna was suffering from, the thought of fratricide and killing family members for the sake of justice. So Krishna told him the world is an ambiguous place and there are no absolutes. There is no black and white. The whole Krishna world is a world of relativities. And if you watch, there's a very beautiful spiritual channel called Gaia. It actually shows that the soul in its purest state recognizes that the truth at any time is not flat. The truth, like the globe, is spherical. And there will only be a visibility of one aspect of that sphere when you are in one situation. So you will tend to forget that this sphere is three-dimensional and there are other aspects to the truth that are not visible to you at that point in time. So truth is also extremely relative. Now, I think at some stage on the subject of abundance, Krishna actually revealed 5 beautiful secrets to the Pandavas, to Yudishtra. What does one keep in the house to attract wealth and keep wealth? Number 1, and some of this really surprised me. One of them was offer water. So in Vedic culture, we offer water to Surya, to the sun god. And because he's fire, he would probably be drawn to the opposite element. So we always offer water. It's kind of like making peace with fire. And the Surya Namaskar, we know that you're actually thanking the sun with your physical movements, the Surya Namaskar. So he says devotees, if they're seeking a flow of wealth, and wealth is like water, water moves with a certain flow and yet it can also be a contained element. So offer water to the needy, always a guest coming home. In Sindh, I believe in the traditional Hyderabad Sindh culture, there was a papad pani ritual. Every guest that came home was offered pani and papad, and that was a very Sindhi thing. So that was a very spiritual practice which we probably don't know now. And then you're also told every guest is your god and goddess. You must treat them with a lot of love and respect. And all these habits, keeping pots of water in strategic places, watering plants, even keeping a symbol of Lakshmi in a thali of water, which is the turtle, is known to attract abundance. If you keep, even Chinese feng shui, they keep it opposite the entrance of the house. So that was one hack. The second one, a chunk of sandalwood drives out negativity. Despite being swathed by thousands of venomous snakes, the sandalwood tree never loses its fragrance. So no matter how much negativity is entrapped in your home, keep sandalwood. And I think what might also help is burning sandalwood, agarbattis. And use sandalwood soap. You'll be amazed at how lingering the fragrance can be. Then use pure ghee, because in Hindu culture the cow is considered a mother figure, and keeping ghee at home is sort of like, you're acknowledging the sacrality of the habit of eating, and you're incorporating the sacredness of the cow. So your cook in ghee. Sri Lakshmi is very impressed by ghee. Store it properly and revere your meals. Always say grace when you're eating your meals. The presence of Goddess Saraswati, and that is the 4th hack. If you have an image of Saraswati or a symbol of Saraswati like the Veena, she is untouched by impurities that surround her, the waters that surround her. And she sits this very tranquil way on a swan or a lotus. And knowledge is considered to be imperishable. It is going to guide you, it is going to be your friend throughout your life. So knowledge is considered to be divine. Creativity is considered to be divine. And creativity again is unending. So it attracts knowledge in our day and age. As we know, we live in the age of information. Knowledge in our times is wealth. So always keep, and it can never be destroyed or even stolen from you. So always keep a symbol of Saraswati, an image of Saraswati or a Veena in some part of your house. The 5th hack, honey. So Lord Krishna says honey is the harbinger of financial gain. It is a very pure food, because imagine it's distilled from thousands and thousands and thousands of flowers. It purifies the soul and the aura of the house. And it also cancels financial uncertainties and also stops spendthrift behavior. So it's kind of like a soma, it's kind of a nectar. So invest some. Now, Then there was recently a beautiful lecture I attended by Devdutt Patnaik on how the Shastras look at wealth, accumulation and investments and planning. And he shared something very unique and beautiful. He said that the journey to wealth is always well spent, provided it is honest. But if you go to see, in Swarg, they have a lot of abundance, but they have no agenda with that wealth. So it's sitting around and just being squandered, and it's being enjoyed without any effort. And therefore, there's not really a lot of inner contentment. In Narg, the wealth is spent faster than it can be even felt. So in Narg also, there is no real abundance. The real way to exist is the way of Krishna's city, Vaikunta, where Krishna and Lakshmi or Radha are always together. In Vaikunta, the principle is to treat your wealth like seeds. So as you keep some for your own spending, you also invest some. And what you invest will flower like a tree and one day be the tree over your head. So the way of Vaikunta is the happiest way. Okay, it's the principle of investing some, spending some. And those are beautiful spiritual insights into creating abundance in your post-pandemic situation, whatever it is. Continue to be very grateful to Krishna for the guidance, and continue to pray for me that I continue to be inspired to bring you his vision and his insights into what humanity needs today. Thank you for joining me.